Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm just going to be talking a little bit of a mini preview for the Zenit St Petersburg match that we play next month in the Europa League last 32. Of course, it's over 2 legs. Celtic into European football after Christmas. The aim was for that this season as we headed into the Champions League. And the draw was, you know, in the middle for us, I would say. You know, there could have been a lot of teams we would have been far worse off playing, the likes of Atletico Madrid, bigger teams like that. I can't remember the whole pot. So Atletico Madrid is my only example. And we could have been a lot better off with some lower teams like Braga, who aren't as big as Zenit St Petersburg, aren't as good as Zenit St Petersburg. So there were clubs in there who we could have preferred to take. There was clubs in there who we wanted to avoid at all costs. And we managed to avoid Zenit St Petersburg, though, undoubtedly. Still a very hard ask, still a very tough tie to say the least, especially the fact we've got to travel all the way over to Russia to play a strong side who did perform quite well in the Europa League group stages. I mean, they performed that well that they managed to get through, and now they find themselves in the same position as us. They'll have the same want, the same ambition to get through to the last 16. It's not going to be an easy tie, but the question in the title of this video is, are Celtic ready for Zenit St Petersburg? That is the question. Are we ready for Zenit St Petersburg? And this match, you know, we can go into it with that same outlook as I feel like we go into every Champions League game. We can either be optimistic in the sense that we think, oh, we can get through this, I know we can, or we can go through shitting ourselves and ultimately watching us get, you know, torn apart, which can easily happen to us. The Champions League group stage performance was very, very mixed. Now, PSG absolutely battled us twice. I'm not going to talk about those games. At the end of the day, that is a club that is, you know, financially superior to everyone in the world. £500 million in one transfer window, pretty much. And the likes of Neymar playing for them. They've been battering teams in their own league, 8-0, 7-0, stuff like that. They did get beat last night, yes, off of a club that's far better than Celtic and Lyon. But they are battering teams of Celtic's similar quality, the same sort of scoreline. So we can put those matches aside in my mind. Look, we're not playing any team in this Europa League that are the same quality of PSG. We shouldn't be expecting, well, we hopefully won't be going into games getting beat 7-0, 5-0, stuff like that. So I'm going to take away those games. Apart from those, the group stage was very mixed. There was moments where we feel like, oh, we have made vast improvements here, where we beat Anderlecht 3-0, and then there was obviously the moments where, you know, we lose to Anderlecht at home 2-1, which I feel like came down to a number of different things, including the fact we're just trying to hold on and ensure against a team that needed to go and score 4 goals, that we held on. I think the performance did rely a lot on that, but at the end of the day it was a poor performance, and it was a performance that wasn't really assuring or reassuring heading into this tie against Zenit St Petersburg. It didn't really show us that we had too much intent or too much quality that was going to help us get by the last 32, no matter who we drew. Obviously at that point we didn't know we were going to get Zenit St Petersburg, but that quality that night against Anderlecht did show, and did show the signs of, we're not ready, we're not going to get anywhere in this Europa League. But have we got the quality to get by Zenit St Petersburg in February in this 2-tie matchup? First match is at home, which is the decider, really. I think if we go there and we get a really positive result and then we can go to Russia and hold off, then, you know, that's great. But at home, we saw what happened to Anderlecht, and it's very easy for Zenit St Petersburg to come over to our stadium and get a win over us. They're a good enough team. I'm going to go through the two sides and I'm going to compare them and where do I think Celtic are weak, what needs to be done, because this January transfer window has been more negative than positive, and a lot of people have got a problem with my kind of input on the transfer window. My last video, my last transfer talk, I said, look, I think we need to calm down, we've got to take our time, don't, you know, slag off the manager, don't give him all this criticism, he's doing what he can, we need to realise, and I still stick with that. I still firmly believe, look, we need to stick with what is, number one, affordable to us, and number two, what is realistic to us, and also number three, we need to watch who we are signing. There's no point in us just going and signing someone for the sake of it, and I think Brendan Rodgers put that perfectly. And Brendan Rodgers, and I don't care if it sounds like I'm going to constantly suck up the guy's arse, to be honest, he deserves to be sucked up to after the season he gave us last year, but he summed it up perfectly by, you know, we've got to sign the right players who are going to bring the right quality to the team, not just anyone for the sake of it. I think that is a very logical explanation on why the transfer window has been so slow to start off. You've got to give them time to bring in the right players, especially, and as I discussed in the podcast with a couple of my mates, if you did watch it, if you didn't, go back and watch it, good podcast, hopefully we'll be back weekly, a little plug there. But one thing we discussed was the fact no one pleases the Celtic fans nowadays? No one. Absolutely no one. There is still that vast majority of fans, and this is not every fan. I mean, I'm sure there's so many like-minded people like me, and probably there is more of the like-minded people like me, where I'll be happy with a signing, but we'll sign someone and it's either they're too young, they're going to add nothing to the team right now, or they're too old, they're past it, or this, that, the next thing, they're not going to fit in. There's never going to be a happy response overall to a signing. It is very hard to please us by the looks of things, by the criticism that signings get on social media. We signed Lewis Morgan, people were questioning it, why are we doing this? 18 or whatever age, what is it, 20, something like that. Oh, he's never going to get in the team. He's just going to be another Gary Mackay-Steven. We then signed Marvin Comper. Oh, he's too old. He's past it. We're getting linked with Tosic. Why the hell we want to spend £3 million on a player like that? Look, it is very difficult for Brendan Rodgers to find players who are, number one, willing to come to the club, willing to perhaps take a step down, and number two, who's going to be affordable to the club, and number three, keep us happy. So it's going to be a very difficult window, and hopefully we do see improvements, and I'll talk about that as we go through the teams. Now, Zenit St. Petersburg starting 11. The last starting 11 they played competitively was in December. Obviously, they don't have a competitive game until March. They're on their winter break, just like we did, but theirs is much longer. They're from fucking Russia. Their weather's worse than ours. Hard to find someone whose weather's worse than ours, but they have got it. They are playing friendlies, the sly bastards, to ensure that they are sharp for the game. Obviously, they're going to do that. They're not going to go in with no match sharpness whatsoever. But their starting 11 is strong. I'm going to quickly read through it, and I'm going to talk about key players who I think are going to be difficult for us to match up to, maybe contain. Players who are going to ultimately cause Celtic problems. Players who, you know, are probably better than the majority of players in our team. So this is their starting 11 that they last played in a competitive game. In goals, they have Ludigan, don't know if that's how you pronounce it, one of the players I don't really know. Right back, Kuziev. The centre backs are Mevlia. I don't know how you say half these names. Branislav Ivanovic, Kreskito at left back, or Kreshito, I'm not too sure how you pronounce it, he's a good player though. Centre mids, Kren Vitar and Komplenko. Over on the right, they've got Ragione, in the middle, Leandro Paredes, on the left, Zhirkov, and up front, Corcoran. And they still have some decent players on the bench. One player who I always come back to is Sebastian Driussi, who I think is a really good player. I've seen, you know, a few clips of the guy. He's been talked with big clubs before. A player who can ultimately cause a lot of problems. Now, players in this team who are going to cause Celtic problems. First off, Leandro Paredes, a former Roma player, now at Zenit St. Petersburg, is a player who I've actually been quite alert about for a while, who was someone who in like 2013 actually signed for Celtic, I think, in Football Manager, and was crossing my fingers with bid for him in real life. Never going to happen. That was a complete pipe dream. But a player who this season has, you know, contributed a lot to their attacking play, made a lot of goals for him. I think he's scored, hold on, I've got the stat here, he scored 5, assisted 6. He's been involved a lot this season. Ultimately a very good player with quite a bit of experience now. He's still very young, very quick though, very attacking minded. He's going to cause us problems. Defensively, we know what our issues are, and he's going to be a problem. Along with Alexander Corcoran, a player who you might have actually heard of because he's been there for quite a while, and you'll hear me clicking again. He's scored 18 this season inside 29, which is far better than any of our strikers this season. He is having a great season for Zenit St. Petersburg. He's also contributed with 4 assists. A player who's played for them for quite a while, I believe. No, it wasn't, because he was at Dynamo Moscow. But a player who's going to cause problems again, and this is where we're going to come on to talk about our defensive problems. Kreskito, also another player who is going to cause Celtic problems again, because he's a very quick, very good-minded left-back who does contribute quite a bit to their attacking play. 4 goals, 4 assists this season. Ultimately, going to be very difficult. And finally, Ragione over on that right-hand side. You just hear me clicking, clicking, clicking. It's just so I can get these statistics right. I want to get them right. I have done my research going into it, don't worry. Ragione, though, on that right-hand side, a player who is, once again, quick. That same kind of play style as many of the Latin American players. Sanchez and such, you know, they want to be quick. They're good with their feet. Very good dribblers. On that right-hand side, scored 6 this season, assisted 3. And it's going to cause problems for Kieran Tierney. Luckily enough, on the left-hand side of the park for Celtic, where we are, not going to lie, as much as I love him, are very weak. Mikael Lustig, God bless him, has had a lot of problems shown recently and a lot of weaknesses exposed when it comes to these big games, when it comes to quick wingers. What's his name? Him that played for Anderlecht, Henry Onyekuru, took him for a walk at Celtic Park. took him for a walk so many times. And luckily we're dealing with a 34-year-old left winger who has scored 1 goal this season for Zenit. Forgot his name, but I'm not going to completely rule him out because watch him go and fucking score a hat-trick or something to us. But luckily enough, it's someone who is not as technically talented because of his age as many of the players like Hornry and Yukuru. Mikael Lustig's still going to be weak on that right-hand side, but hopefully a player we contain. And obviously, the main talking point I think for Zenit St. Petersburg is their manager, Roberto Mancini, a man who has, you know, won the Premier League. He's managed big teams such as Inter Milan, Galatasaray, Manchester City, winning the league with them. He's a manager with experience, a manager who likes to win and has a very good winning mentality and plays nice attacking football. He's going to cause problems, and his team will not be taking it lightly at Celtic Park. Or away in Russia, especially in Russia. But at Celtic Park, I don't think it's going to be one of those performances where we are dominant. I think he's going to send out his team to hurt us and try and get a very, very good result, because ultimately they need a very good result. But one other player, Branislav Ivanovic, a player who I left out, former Champions League winner, very good centre-half, played for Chelsea for a very long time, and a player who ultimately trumps every defender we have at our club, really. Obviously the guy's like 30-year-old at the minute, but he's a player who, if he came into Celtic, you know fine well he would be one of the best players in the squad. There's no doubt about that. He's a good player, he's won the Champions League, he's won the Premier League, racked up so many appearances for club and country, a player who we cannot ignore. Now, Celtic's best 11 heading into this game, presumably. How does it compare with this Zenit St. Petersburg, and what do we have to do in these next couple... I'm trying to watch the time, actually, this video. 11 fucking minutes. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the best starting 11, what's it going to be? Well, here's presumably Gordon will be in goals. Lustig will be at right back. Tierney will be at left back. Those are the certainties. What I'm assuming for the centre-half positions is Christopher Ayer and Dedrick Boyata will start. No Joseph Simunovic, I know that's surprising. If it was me, I'd be putting them in over Boyata. Will he start over Boyata? I don't think so. I think Brendan Rodgers has got that keen liking towards Dedrick Boyata, which means he will start, and Ayer has been playing so well recently that I think he has to start. And the centre mids, it's got to be in Charmin Brown. And the central attacking mid, I think it's got to be McGregor. Armstrong, who has got this month-long injury, I don't think will be fit enough. And obviously Tom Rogic is out for a good while as well. So McGregor seems to be the only logical option for me to start in that attacking midfield role. Over on the left, it's going to be Sinclair. On the right, it's got to be Forrest for the season. Will Roberts be back in time? Who knows? Personally, I think when it comes to these games, these are the games Robert shines. But will he play? Different story. Up front, Moussa Dembele or Lee Griffiths is going to be the starter. Hopefully, and presumably it is going to be Dembele, because it's these games where we rely on a big performance from Moussa Dembele. Now, that team, is it ready for Zenit St. Petersburg? Is it ready? Ultimately, I think we've still got work to do. That back line, Boyata and Ayer. I love Christopher Ayer, I do. And I've voiced my discontent towards Boyata recently, which I do feel like might be a bit harsh. But we need defensive options. Options that are going to be secure against these players like Driussi, Kokurin, Paredes, etc, etc. These are players who were exposed, or defenders, not the Zenit players, in European matches multiple times for their weaknesses. We need to make defensive signings that could be eligible for the Europa League first off, ultimately, to get somewhere. Attacking wise, I feel like we still have a strong enough team. Maybe a player with a bit of flair or something would be nice. I got invaded while I was talking, and I can't exactly remember where I left off. I think I was saying let's just focus on building that defence, get some confidence within the back line, show some reassurance, some security, and maybe we are ready for Zenit. Whether we go through or not, I'm happy with getting to the last 32. Ultimately, it was when we were handed that group, that is what I would have liked to have seen, and we're there. Happy days. It'd be lovely going a run, but realistically, that is difficult and a tough ask. If you have enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. My match preview will obviously come out closer to the time, a few days before the game. Let me know what you're thinking, how confident you are going into this tie. I'll see you all next time.